USS Bonhomme Richard, LHD-6, was a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship of the United States Navy commissioned on the 15th of August 1998. Like the previous 5 Wasp-class ships, Bonhomme Richard was designed to embark, deploy, and land elements of a Marine Corps landing force in amphibious assault operations by helicopter, landing craft, and amphibious vehicle, and, if needed, to act as a light aircraft carrier. LHD-6 was the third ship of the United States Navy to bear the name first given by John Paul Jones to his Continental Navy frigate, named in French, Goodman Richard, in honor of founding father Benjamin Franklin, the publisher of Poor Richard's Almanack, who at the time served as U.S. ambassador to France. Bonhomme Richard took the place of USS Essex as the command ship for Expeditionary Strike Group 7 and switched home port from San Diego, California, to Sasebo, Japan, on the 23rd of April 2012. During the summer of 2013, Bonhomme Richard participated in Exercise Talisman Sabre 2013. Maneuvers were performed off Queensland, Australia, and in the Coral Sea. After the exercise, the ship sailed for Sydney, arriving on the 16th of August 2013. Bonhomme Richard assisted in the air-sea rescue operation of the capsized South Korean ferry MV Sewell with helicopters on the 16th of April 2014. Bonhomme Richard participated in Exercise Talisman Sabre 2017 involving more than 33,000 Australian and U.S. troops in June 2017. Alongside Bonhomme Richard, 20 other ships and over 200 aircraft took part in what was Australia's largest exercise to date. A week-long port call in Melbourne followed. On the 5th of August 2017, the U.S. Marine Corps MV-22 Osprey of Marine Medium Tiltrotor Squadron 265 with the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit took off from Bonhomme Richard, and then crashed in Shoalwater Bay on the east coast of Australia. 23 personnel were rescued, while 3 died, their bodies being recovered about 3 weeks later. On the 8th of May 2018, Bonhomme Richard completed her home port change to San Diego. Witnesses reported that an explosion occurred at about 8:50 a.m. on the 12th of July 2020 aboard Bonhomme Richard while in her home port at Naval Base San Diego undergoing maintenance. The resulting fire was fueled by paper, cloth, rags, or other materials, not fuel oil or other hazardous materials. Rear Admiral Philip Sobeck, commander of Expeditionary Strike Group 3, told reporters that evening, since the ship was in maintenance, on-board fire suppression systems had been disabled, delaying the onset of firefighting efforts. According to Admiral Sobeck, the fire was reported to have started in an area that is normally used to park military trucks, while the ship is at sea, but where shipyard workers might have temporarily placed other items including combustible materials. The day the fire erupted, 17 sailors and 4 civilians were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. All but 5 were released by the morning of the next day, Navy officials said. By the 14th of July, the number of injured had risen to 61, as more people were treated for minor injuries, including heat exhaustion and smoke inhalation. On the 16th of July, 5 days after the explosion, the Navy announced that all fires had been extinguished. The minor injury total had risen to 63 total, 40 sailors, and 23 civilians. Admiral Michael Gilday, Chief of Naval Operations, said the event was a very serious incident, and that the Navy would address any systemic problems. He said the firefighting efforts had involved sailors from many ships and units in San Diego, including the helicopter squadron HSC-3, which dropped water on the ship. 8 sailors assigned to Bonhomme Richard were meritoriously promoted in rank on the 31st of July for their actions in fighting the fire. Fire and water damage were sustained on 11 of 14 decks. Sections of the flight deck and other decks were warped and bulging. While the island was nearly gutted, 33, the Navy removed the aft mast of the damaged ship to ensure it would not collapse.